Hello everyone, welcome to the Hack Shack right here in Los Angeles. My name is Johnny and I support horror. I hope all of you are staying nice and safe in your homes and just kicking back, relaxing during this self-quarantine and watching a lot of good horror movies. Because we've all been social distancing so much, I thought it'd be fun to review some horror movies that has to do with some sort of isolation aspect. With that being said, it's been a long time coming, but I'm finally going to be taking you through my rant and review of The Headhunter. I feel like this movie is a hidden gem and has slipped by some people, so let's talk about it, horror fam. The Headhunter is a fantasy horror film written and directed by Jordan Downey, with Kevin Stewart being attached as a writer as well. Jordan and Kevin are the duo behind the completely ridiculous but pretty funny horror comedy Thankskilling. It's about a homicidal turkey killing college kids. It's a fun one to watch during the holidays. The Headhunter stars Christopher Rygh, a Norwegian actor that surprisingly only had one short film to his name before starring in this feature. Apparently, he trained at a prestigious actor studio in Oslo and has some Norwegian stage and television credits to his name. So let's get into what this film is all about. A medieval warrior spends his days slaying evil monsters on a foggy mountainside, collects their heads, and displays them nicely on spikes in his home. Eventually, he comes across the monster that murdered his daughter years prior, and he must try and kill it to avenge her death. This indie film on a shoestring budget did a lot of things right. The main things I think they did really well in The Headhunter was set design, the acting, props, practical effects, and the overall filming locations. His cabin of death, that I like to call it, the place he lives, displays all of these bloody heads that he's lopped off on these wooden stakes on his wall, like I said earlier. These creature heads that he displays are a bloody mess and a unique design. It reminds me of going to a horror convention like Monsterpalooza and seeing all the creepy masks and busts you can buy as you walk down the rows. Also, inside his home, it's dark, it's cold, there's like chains and animal furs hanging from the ceiling. This dude doesn't even have a bed in there. He sleeps upright in a badass chair that reminds me of Game of Thrones or something. His home looks like a medieval version of Ted Kaczynski's, aka the Unabomber, the cabin that he stayed in. Oh, here's a fun fact for you. Most of the props were bought at the store Spirit Halloween on November 1st during the post-Halloween sales. They just modified and aged them to look realistic in the movie. You couldn't even tell that they were cheap props. Another cool thing I found out was that the director Jordan Downey did all the special makeup effects as well as the makeup for the actors. But let's move on now and talk about the top-notch acting by Christopher Rygh. There is very little dialogue in this 72-minute movie, but it's how Rygh carries and throws himself into brutal situations that wins you over. He is a specimen of a medieval warrior. A freaking man's man that looks every bit like Michael Shannon as the grisly hitman serial killer Richard Kuklinski in the movie The Iceman Chronicles. This brave warrior doesn't give a damn. I mean, he sleeps from impaled monster heads feet away on his wall. They're decaying and dripping blood and brain matter all over his floor. You think he ever tries to spruce up the place? You know, dust, light-scented candles to try and cover up the putrid smell of rotting monster flesh so his friends won't get offended when they come over on Tuesdays for poker nights? No, man! His to-do list consists of this. Kill, clean my wounds, eat, sleep upright like a boss, repeat. And I'm not spoiling anything here, but he's the one that goes after these monsters. He takes the initiative, he puts on the armor, seeks out these creatures on the hillside, and brings back their heads. Well, there's one particular scene where these creatures seek him out one night. As he is surrounded and prepares for battle with these things, he's so calm and collected, almost annoyed that he has to fight. If it were me, I'd be like, not today, Satan. I'd freak out, scream like an 8-year-old, and jump out my freaking window. He takes them on like it's nothing, with steady moves and displaying no fear. Speaking of battle scenes, as a viewer, we don't get to see a lot of them in The Headhunter except for the final battle. This film leaves it up more to the imagination, but I'm telling you, it works. I always say some of the most terrifying things we aren't able to see. For example, in The Conjuring, when the little girl in bed gets her leg pulled by something that we can't see. And then she tells her sister, who's laying in the bed next to her, that there's something by the door staring at her, and that whole scene just gave me chills. And same thing goes for The Headhunter. You might not see all of his battles, but he'll come back to his home with the most gnarly wounds all over his body, and you're just thinking that must have been one hell of a fight. With how good the visuals, props, and practical effects were in The Headhunter, I'm really surprised they got it all done on just $30,000. I found a breakdown of the budget on Reddit from one of the producers, Kevin, I believe. I'll drop a link in the description so you can see this budget properly, but check this out. So we have cast and crew, only $10,500. Camera and lighting gear, $2,500. Airfare, just $2,500. Special effects makeup, $500 only. Wardrobe, $1,200 only. Food, like craft service and stuff to feed the crew, $2,000. Reshoots, $3,000. And submitting for festivals, just $1,000. That pretty much adds up to 30 grand. You got it all right there. That's a really good budget. For indie filmmakers, this has to be quite an inspiration that tells you that you can make a fantastic film on such a bare bones budget. So with all that being said, I really don't think you'll be disappointed if you go and rent The Headhunter. It looks like one of those films that would be full of over-the-top violence and like masculine shit, but it's really not. It's more than that. This movie has heart and one of those crazy little twists that causes a snowball effect throughout the film that drives you crazy, but in a good way. Do these guys a favor, stream The Headhunter today. I believe it's available now on a Shudder and just $1.99 on Prime Video to rent. I think it might be $4.99 to buy. So it's such a steal. And I'll leave you with that, horror fam. I just want to say thanks again for coming by my channel and checking out my review of The Headhunter. If you haven't subscribed yet, I hope you do so now, and go ahead and leave a comment for me and let me know what you thought about this video. And let's be friends to the end, people. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at The Horror Hack. Once again, my name is Johnny. Keep supporting horror, and this has been one hack of a show.